We are super excited today. We got Gretchen G, lead singer for the Ford Broncos. What up? She's played for the Jason Martin Group Client Appreciation Party a couple times in a row. So we've become friends over a couple of years, and we just want to get to know you a little bit. We hear you, we love your music, and you're kind of blowing up on the DC scene as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And I know you're playing the Anthem on New Year's Eve.
Yes, we are.
How exciting is that?
It's pretty dope. Pretty dope. Yeah, we've been at 930 Club last year. We've been with the IMP group for, this will be our 5th year. Before that, we were with Lincoln Theater for 3 years. So, I mean, what's the next step after 930 Club?
Yeah.
The Anthem.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and I watched it. I've watched your career over the last few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is, where do you think you go from here? Like, you go to the Anthem, 930 Club, the Lincoln Theater, 90s cover band, and you're blowing up.
We probably quit.
You just quit. You just you drop the mic on New Year's Eve and say that was it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's funny is we've been a band for almost 12 years now. And every time we think we can't get any bigger, where do we go from here? Another opportunity happens. It's Lincoln Theater when we were playing at Big Night DC at the Gaylord National, which was amazing. Then it was Lincoln Theater, and we were there for 3 years. This is amazing. Get a call, and they're like, hey, you know, we have another act coming in for Lincoln Theater. We kind of freak out. Where do we go? What do we do? What do you think about 930 Club for New Year's Eve? Great. We think that's great. And then that sold out a month before New Year's Eve last year, so they added the 30th. So we did 2 nights at 930 Club. And then this year it was, hey, let's try the Anthem. So.
All right, so you got to take me back a little bit.
Okay.
So how this all started. Like, I know where you are now. This is super exciting. I'm excited for you, by the way. This is awesome. How did this all start for you?
So I actually was someone that joined the band after it had already originally started. The band started in May of 2008. Diego, who is the other lead singer and guitar player, him, our original drummer Matt, and our bass player Sean were the original 3 of Ford Bronco. And we had met, they had met Kenny, who was our lead guitar player, through mutual friends, and Kenny joined the band in March of 2009. My story was a little different because I didn't know them. I was a bartender at Clyde's of Georgetown, and it was my 3rd shift. And Diego and Matt had walked in the door, and, you know, I mean, Clyde's of Georgetown is an iconic establishment, but generally Monday through Friday, it's older people. You know, they're lawyers and lobbyists, and they're just coming in for lunch and getting out of there. And there were these 2 20-somethings that were clearly out to have a good time on a Wednesday at 1. And probably after an hour, I settled down a little bit, and we started chatting, and I asked what they were doing there, and Diego had just received a job offer. I think he'd been laid off for a couple months, and Matt had just been laid off from his job that same day. So they said, we're kind of celebrating, and I asked, but why Clyde's of Georgetown? It doesn't seem like your crowd. Their tab was already at $100. They've been there for an hour. I don't even think they'd eaten yet. You know, they were going hard.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we play across the street. And I went to school for music, so I asked what they played. They said they were in a 90s cover band. I asked what their name was, Ford Bronco, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And I said, well, hey, if you ever need a chick singer, let me know. And they did, and here we are.
So they found you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
I think
they find you.
I think it was a little bit of, sorry to interrupt, I think it was kind of, you know, I never believed everything happens for a reason, but my 3rd shift, they just happened to walk in. I'd been working at Old Ebbitt Grill and just decided to go over to Clyde's of Georgetown. I don't think I ever would have met them had that not happened.
There's a great book out called The Law of Attraction. I'll give you a copy if you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Like, stuff happens for a reason, believe it or not. So I believe in that myself.
Exactly.
So you went to school for music.
I did.
What does that mean? Where did you come out of school? How did this go?
So I initially went to University at Buffalo, but I initially went for music education. My junior year, they cut my program, so I finished out with vocal performance. Kind of thought that I'd go back to get my master's, but was bartending and just having a really good time in Buffalo and never kind of made it back. And so I moved to DC in February of 2008, and really was just working at Old Abbott for a year, and I hadn't sang in 3 years, and I met the guys. And again,
That's
that
pretty
was
fascinating.
That. Yeah.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So music was your passion as a kid growing up?
Yes.
Okay. What did you just sing around the house? What did you do?
My mom has this funny story where she says that I actually was singing before I was talking, and that I was singing Whitney Houston's Saving All My Love for You at 18 months old. And when they tried to come in with a video, you know, I ended the song Saving All My Love for Mommy.
Oh,
and then came in with the recorder, and I just would not do it. But from a very early age, I always just loved singing. My mom will always say that I got my musical talent from her, but if you've ever heard her whistle, that's not
true.
Not a good situation. But yeah, I just early on piano lessons, was in the high school musicals when I was in 3rd grade. Probably played every instrument under the sun just because I wanted to be so immersed in music. Was never good at them. So I just say now I play a lot of instruments horribly.
Okay.
But yeah, then I just really wanted to go to school to be a music teacher. My high school music teacher to this day is someone that I still talk to. She was invited to my wedding. You know, I babysat her children. She's just someone that I've always looked up to, and I wanted to be that for someone else. So I love teaching and teachers. My entire family are teachers, so that's kind of what I wanted to do. But life took me in a different direction, and I'm just happy that I'm still a part of music.
So did you think that music was going to be a part of your career, your bartending, and you went to college for it, and then were you done with music? Where were you going mentally in your mind with music at that point in time?
I don't know. I think that's a tough question. You know, when you are so in love with something, it's hard not to have it in your life. But because my program was cut, I was taking 24 credit hours the last 3 semesters of my college career. I was kind of burnt out. I knew eventually I'd go back to it. In what capacity, I have absolutely no idea. You know, I was thinking maybe record label in some regard, or go back to school to become a teacher. I don't know. I'd never been in a band before, so I don't really think that was on my radar.
Yeah.
But always knew I wanted to get back to it in some way. I just didn't know how yet.
So totally, I keep saying passion, but that's what this is about, right? It's about passion and people, and you got the power to make choices in life, and that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's what's interesting to us.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're so interesting, because I know that music is your passion. We've talked before, for those that are watching and just getting to know you for the first time, you also have a real job, a grown-up job. That's not the right word to say.
A big girl job.
A big girl job. So you don't quite yet do this full time.
I have done it full time on and off. We do have 1 or 2 people that do it full time. For me, I have other passions that I'm excited about as well. The one thing I will say is after I got out of bartending, I sort of stumbled upon event planning, and that's something that I really like. So I also work for a commercial real estate company called BizNow Media that does networking events for commercial real estate. And it's sort of, my friends all call it my unicorn job, because the events are Tuesday through Thursday, pretty much in the morning. So it doesn't really interfere with the band at all.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like Clark Kent in a sense, where, you know, in the morning I've got my big girl pants on and briefcase, and then I leave and head to a rock and roll show, and I'm up until 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, 4 o'clock, huh?
Yeah, well, sometimes.
Jeez, shows end at like 1. What are you doing at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I mean, it's not all glamorous, Jason.
Okay.
We have to close up shop. You
You
know,
gotta carry some stuff out. Or
I
something?
don't, but
Oh yeah, that's you're beyond that, right? So now that you've got into it, did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd be playing the anthem?
No.
That's so like amazing.
It's funny, you know, there's always sort of like this manifestation of your dreams where you think one day this could happen. And I think the fact that we wound up playing the anthem was just not a coincidence, but something of that nature. I was asked to do an article with the Washington Post Express where they do different people's DC Dream Day. And, you know, it's people all throughout the community. Some are artists, they're chefs, they're lobbyists, they're, I don't know, just different people. And I was asked to do that, and it was January of last year, and it was right after our 9:30 club show, and I was talking to the guy, and, you know, I had my whole day mapped out of, like, the cool places I'm going to say I'm going to go, and we're going to do brunch here, and go get, you know, a beer at the Pug, or, you know, silly stuff. And he kind of stopped me and just said, you know, you can literally say anything. Time, you know, traffic in DC. It doesn't matter if you go from spring in 1 minute to summer in another to winter. It's whatever you want. And I said, well, can you give me an example? And he was like, well, you know, I was talking to this comedian one day, and he just said he wants to end his night at a show at Lincoln Theater. And I was like, oh, well, obviously I want to end my night at a sold-out show at the Anthem. And Seth, the owner of 930 Club, read it a couple weeks later and sent me an email and just said, well, my DC Dream Day ends with me playing drums with White Ford Bronco at the Anthem. And I said, if you want that to happen, you're the guy that puts that in motion. And here we are.
So it almost seems just not real, because you just put out there to the world what you wanted, and the world responded.
Yes, so I also want $50 million.
Me too. I want $50 million too. Who do we need to tell that to besides
the
each
world?
Other? Just the world.
Just
We're
put it
gonna
out
put that
there.
out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people are watching and they want to choose music as a profession, what would you tell them?
Don't give up. I mean, my uncle, I just joined the band. It was, and he loves when I tell this story, so I don't feel bad about it, Uncle Tom. It was my first Christmas after joining the band, and I went home to upstate New York for Christmas, and I was 25 at the time, or somewhere around there, just like still bartending, trying to get my bearings, figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And again, my entire family, they're all teachers, they're all very stable jobs, and my uncle looked at me Christmas Eve and just said, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? And I said, I mean, I'm not going to be doing this forever, Uncle Tom. You know, I won't be doing this when I'm 30. And now, if I even talk about, you know, maybe the band has run its course or this, that, or you can't quit. You proved me wrong. You cannot quit.
Uncle Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Uncle Tom. You know, everybody needs an Uncle Tom to light a little fire under their butt.
So do you have any, what do you dream about now? I mean, your DC dream was the Anthem, obviously. Now what do you dream about?
I don't know. I mean, the world is our oyster kind of thing. I think that this potentially could open doors for us. The interesting thing is navigating, again, most of us have full-time jobs, and we've kind of just lucked out in this wonderful situation where we can have our full-time jobs and still be rock stars on the weekends. And, you know, we just played a wedding in Seattle in September. We have a wedding in Little Rock, Arkansas next October. We're playing a corporate event in Detroit. You know, we're starting to move around a little bit more, which even 3 years ago, I never would have said that would have happened. So I don't know. I'm open to the universe, and kind of whatever happens. And I think we're going to take it as it comes, but we're pretty much booked for all of 2020. And
did you put our show on the calendar?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. I'll check your phone.
I gotcha. I won't say it out loud so everybody shows up.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So let's have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
What do you like to do besides music?
My husband and I really love to cook and go out to eat. That's a big thing for us. I absolutely love to travel. If I don't have a plane ticket in my inbox, I get a little jittery. And I love seeing my friends. I think the difficult thing with this job is there are things you miss. You know, you're gigging every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I always tell my friends, if I'm not the third person other than your significant other that knows when your wedding is, there's a chance I may not be able to be there.
Yeah.
And my friends I'm fiercely loyal and truly have the biggest FOMO on the planet, so I never want to miss anything. But I also know the band, as long as I hope it lasts forever, but this could be a finite thing, and I want to live this dream of mine as long as I possibly can. So you just got to keep on pushing, and I have wonderful friends that understand this is a passion of mine and are very open and understanding, and whenever I can get a sliver of time with them, it's open arms and let's have a ball.
So what's your favorite DC restaurant?
I mean, that's tough. I'd have to say my house, just because my husband is a wonderful cook. I don't know. There are a bunch. I also feel like the DC scene has changed so much since I've moved here. In 13 years, I remember the place we used to go to was Lucky Bar. And that's kind of the only place, or Sign of the Whale, that, not that you could go, but it was like, that's where everybody went.
Wait, Lucky Bar on like 14th Street?
It's on Connecticut, like Midtown area, right across from Public Bar now.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure it's still there. It's like a big soccer bar. But yeah, it's just now, I was in the cab in an Uber yesterday, and someone mentioned a restaurant that I'd never even heard of. And it's just, I don't know if it's whether I'm starting to feel old, or it's just so many things are popping up so quickly that it's insane.
And what's on the short list for travel?
My husband and I are going to Sonoma in 3 weeks, right after the Anthem. We're saying deuces, y'all. We were sticking around for the holiday, going to Sonoma. I have a friend's bachelorette party in Miami. Her wedding's in Mexico. So I've got 3 trips in the next 3 months that I think are... Oh, I'm also going to Nashville for work, so...
What work? The music or the other job?
The other job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you could be going to Nashville for music one day. Who knows, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
So when you're on stage, what's that like?
It's like nothing you can describe. My husband said something to my mom. We had a show on New Year's Eve at Lincoln Theater. I think the first year we were together. And this is how my mom said she knew that Joey was the one, was he just looked at me and said to my mom, I wonder what that feels like to have 1,200 people just smiling at you. And it's true, you make people happy, and it may not be you personally, I'm not saying hi to 1,200 people or giving them a hug, but music is a way to people's memory and nostalgia. And how cool is that you can listen to a song that you grew up with 20 years ago, and when you were 13 years old, be like, I still remember my first slow dance I danced to with Eddie Camadine in 8th grade. It was I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly, and that was in the 90s. And I think the 90s are popular now because our age group is getting a little bit older, but people want that nostalgia and love that feeling of remembering, if that makes sense. And
totally.
Yeah.
You just lit up when you described that, by the way.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 kids, and I'll be making all 3 of my kids watch this, because my goal for them is that they pursue their passions in life.
Yep.
And if I could bottle up your 2 minutes of how you just described that right there, that is what I knew. The reason I wanted you to be a guest is I knew this was your passion. You weren't just doing shows just for the heck of it. I knew it was, because I could see it. We've seen you in action. And that, to me, is just so, so cool.
Thank you.
So are you crossing paths with some pretty fun people now? Like, are you starting to be known? Like, well, I know you're known, right? But, like, what's happening in your world? What's happening to you right now? Washington Post, things are going on. Like, are you just bumping into people you didn't think you'd meet, or what's going on?
Yeah, I definitely think that the band has, one, opened doors for me in ways that it may not have. Ford Bronco has kind of become a name around DC, even if you've never seen us before, you've heard of us. And I think there are some people that maybe they don't get it, or they've not seen a show, and it's like, oh God, when are these guys going to be done? But then they come to a show and they look at me and they're just like, I get it now. You know, it's fun. We certainly don't think that we're the next DC like mega stars. At the end of the day, we're a cover band, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
And as far as like everyday life, my husband always does the like over under on how many people are going to come up to me and ask if I'm Gretchen from Ford Bronco. So I feel like, you know, I've had to, unlike today, have had to start doing my hair and makeup a little bit more to not always be in workout clothes and just
so you're getting hit up pretty locally like that regularly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but it's absolutely amazing. I think the wonderful thing about our band is because we've been part of that scene for 12 years, it has been a slow progression of, there are people that were in my wedding that I met at shows because it was so tiny and intimate that we got to know each other so well. And now I may not remember everybody's name, but I remember that they came to a show 8 months ago and were front row, and I'll remember their face. And next time I see them at a show again at 9:30, just pointing to them and saying, hey, to me, it makes me feel, or at least I think, that when people come to see us, they're seeing a friend. They're not seeing Ford Bronco. It's, you know, the 5 people that they've known for 10 years.
You're so grounded, but you're also living in the clouds, right? Like you're living a dream up here, and yet your feet are firmly planted on the ground.
Yep.
And that's a fun way to be.
It is.
And thank you so much, Gretchen, for being a guest on the show.
Thank you.
You're wonderful, and I can't wait to hear from you after New Year's Eve.
Thank you. I'll see you in September.
There we go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Gretchen G. from the Ford Broncos.
Thank you.